And hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as well. Here we are in different continents and around the world. So let's kick off. I want to echo what Emma said about being privileged to be a part of this project. We're all doing really valuable work, and it's a pleasure to be involved in it with all of you. Um, so, excuse me, sorry. So let's kick off. I'm aware that this content might be familiar to many of you. I'm aware that some of you might not be familiar with it, so I'm going to try and keep it as interesting as possible under the circumstances. This is an interactive session, and feel free to raise a hand, ask a question. There will be lots of opportunities to speak in groups. Well, with one main opportunity, and we'll be asking some questions throughout. So we hope to keep it a little bit engaging. The topic itself is interesting and worthwhile, so we'll try and crack on. So, mastering Zoom and video conferencing. This is the session number 1. Who are we? A little bit about who we are. We're Shout It UK. We're an organization based in London, in the UK. We've been working very closely with the British Council on this project. We have an expertise in delivering non-formal education and facilitating programs. So we're well positioned for this role. Who am I more specifically? I'm Samuel Kashdi. I have met a lot of you, I think, in national contexts. So I've been coordinating this, and I have a good general understanding of this program. So come to me if you have any questions or suggestions. I'm always open for an email or a conversation. I am here to make your lives easier. So that please use me, as I've said here. That would be beneficial for everybody. So what's happening today? Today will be 1.5 hours long, roughly. From now, it'll be 1 hour and 20 minutes long. There'll be a 10-minute breakout room session in the middle. You don't have to do anything at the moment to figure this out. We will put you into rooms with people from your nationalities, and where you'll have a discussion halfway through the session. So what are we going to try and aim to achieve today? Some of it is quite straightforward, and some of it is a little bit more intricate or detailed. So what is the purpose and protocol of the International Community of Practice? We'll discuss that a little bit. I think a lot of you are already aware of that. How do I schedule a Zoom meeting and use key settings? How do I manage participants and use key features? So what features have Zoom got that I maybe am unaware of? What are some strategies for delivering engaging online content? How do you make a good Zoom? We'll see if following my example is strategic or not at the end of this. And then we'll look a little bit into AI in Zoom and some political considerations around data protection, following enabling the course to flow on to some future topics that we'll be covering. So, the International Community of Practice, what is it? Before we get started, I'm sure that a lot of the Indonesian cohort are aware of this, as they've done it before, but make sure you have your interpretation turned on and to the language that you will be listening in. I think for the Nigerians and Kenyans, you're okay, but this is just to make sure that the Indonesians are up to speed, which I think they probably are. If not, please type in the chat, and my colleague Amanda will be able to advise you on how to best go about things, but I think you're all okay. Sign language interpretation. You can see Sagir here is up on our screen. If everybody could turn their cameras off, which I think you will have, apart from the people with sign language that can then communicate with Sagir, that would be very helpful. This will then enable us to put you in breakout rooms with Sagir if you require sign language interpretation. I hope you're understanding this now. I think you are, and then you can communicate effectively in your breakout rooms. If not, you can also type in the chat to Amanda, and we can put you in a breakout room with Sagir based on your letting us know. Okay, so yeah, if you could have your audio and video off for the most part, that would help make this session run more smoothly. And now a little bit about changing your name on Zoom. We're already getting into the nitty-gritty, but this will be helpful for the breakout room. So if you are from Brazil, which you are not, or Indonesia or Kenya, if you could please put the initials of your nation, if you could rename yourself to give your initials like I have done. You can see Samuel Kashdi, UK, next to my name. This is to enable Amanda to put you into breakout rooms with people of your nationality so you can have discussions in your native languages, and which can then be translated back into the whole group afterwards. So how do you do that? You want to be on your Zoom screen like this. You want to click on the participants icon in the bottom left. Once you've clicked on the participants icon, you want to click more and you want to click rename. So I'll give you a minute to do that. The purpose of this, as I said, is so that you can be organized in your national cohorts later on in this process to enable effective communication in your breakout rooms. So if you could please do that, we'll wait a minute or so for people to do that, and then we can move on. And if you're having any trouble with that, please feel free to reach out in the chat, and we can try and problem solve.
Sam, just to say as well that if people really can't do it, I'll be able to rename them. So if that's an issue, you can just say in the chat and I'll be able to rename you for you.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah. And if we really can't do it, it's not the end of the world. This is the stakes are low. We'll figure a way. We'll figure it out. All right, okay. I think we'll move on there. As I said, this is not a disaster if it doesn't happen, but this is just to help us later down the line. So if you can change your name to represent your national identity, that would be very helpful. So that's something that can be useful for the rest of this time on the International Community of Practice to make sure that people are able to be put into groups where they can communicate effectively. So this could be a helpful protocol in the future if we can keep this practice going. So as it says there, rename. So what's going to happen in the International Community of Practice? So we've got today Zoom and video conferencing. Next month, we'll have LinkedIn and networking. We'll have an expert speaker coming in on the good practice of LinkedIn and how to network in real life. We'll then have a peer learning session in the 11th of March, which I'll discuss in more detail further along in this presentation. But it'll be a chance for you to share your experiences, your best practice, any issues amongst the community of practice generally. And I'll give you some guidelines and ways in which you can document your progress and activities later on. And then we have data protection and cybersecurity with an expert speaker, understanding AI with an expert speaker, another peer learning session, and then we'll start looking at some data, how you can understand data and statistics. So those are the first 5 sessions that we're going to be looking at, with 2 sessions for exchange in the middle of those things. Just to let you know, of course, that you'll have access to this slideshow at the end. You'll have access. We're going to put it in a repository, and you'll all have access to this, of course, just in case you were wondering. So as I mentioned previously, it'll provide an opportunity for cross-border and cultural exchanges. This will happen in the peer learning sessions, as well as today, after your breakout rooms, we'll be discussing certain topics, and you'll have information from all around the world. So the benefit of this is it can help you in your work. It can help you understand ways in which other people are approaching the same job and role you are, new opportunities, new perspectives. A chance to work internationally is quite exciting. Building a network of people abroad that have similar interests and experience to yourselves is quite an exciting project, and I'm very excited to be a part of it personally. So how are we going to be learning? There'll be one webinar masterclass per month, one task to complete based on the topic of the month, and a peer learning session, as I mentioned, and we'll go into this in more detail. So now let's get into the topics. Here we're going to have a quick poll, I think, a quick question. So you should see a question appear on your screens. And it appears to be getting answered now. Got a mixed bag here.
The question is, do you need a Zoom account to join a meeting? Yes, no, or don't know.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a mixed bag here. I'll give it 10 seconds more. There's plenty more where this came from. I don't think you can change your response, unfortunately, Vion. I think that's it. That's it. There's many more opportunities to answer questions, though. Don't worry about that. We're trying to keep it as interactive as possible. So I'll end the poll here, and we can share the results with all of you. The answer was no. You do not need a Zoom account to join a Zoom meeting. You can join it with purely an invitation. A little bit of a lowdown on this here. There's some information here. There is a unique code, or called a meeting ID, that is required. If authentication of profiles is disabled when you create a meeting, anybody can join the call, okay? This is useful for accessibility of joining Zoom calls if you're going to be using Zoom to teach. It's useful to know that people don't need to have an account to join. So it's a very accessible platform for people that don't have the time or ability, or have just not created an account yet. Okay. So thank you for participating in that. You can join Zoom with an invitation link or meeting ID. You're all here. So I'm not trying to patronize you around your knowledge of Zoom. You're all on the Zoom. Clearly you understand how Zoom works. I'll try to be as reasonable as possible during this delivery. Okay. So another question. Maybe you saw the answers there quickly. Let's pose another question too. So Vion, there's some more opportunities for you here to get some right. How many participants can be on a free Zoom call? A free Zoom call without a subscription. What do we think? Bit of a mixed bag. I did give it away a bit earlier. That's my mistake. I'm sorry if you saw the answer. Mixed bag. Okay, we'll give that 10 more seconds. You want to get your answers in? All right, we'll end that poll. A majority of you got the answer correct. It is yes, 100. You can have 100 participants on a free Zoom call, okay? Which is pretty good, actually. It's a pretty high number of participants. It's not so often you'll need more than that, so that's quite helpful. We'll go straight in with another question. We'll go straight in with question number 3, if possible. So how long does a free Zoom meeting last for? This is all useful information to know when if you would be setting up a Zoom call to know what features you can have without having to pay for any subscription. People don't need to have an account, and you can provide this for free. All right, we've got some mixed responses again. Some are uncertainty. So it's good for you to be aware of these things. Okay, we'll give it another 10 seconds. All right, okay. So a bit more of a mixed bag this time. We'll try and share these results with you. A lot of people put an hour 30 or 40 minutes. But yes, the answer is 40 minutes. So this is the slide I unfortunately shared with you previously. You can have a free Zoom account for 40 minutes in length with up to 100 participants in it, okay? This means that the barriers for entry are quite low, and it's quite a useful tool when organizing a meeting. 40 minutes isn't an ideal amount of time, but it's enough to get a lot of things done, okay? So how do you sign up for Zoom? To sign up for Zoom, you can sign up for free after clicking plans and pricing. It'll then offer you some options for your purchasing. Here you can see I've got it in pounds. It will be in the respective currency of your nation. You click sign up for free here, and that's where you can create your Zoom account. Here you can have features that are personal to you, settings, etc. So you'll put your email address in or your birthday if you've got an account. If not, you can use all 3 of these options to sign in to Zoom and create an account. Okay.
We've got
This
a
is
quick
this is
launch. We've got a quick poll.
we've got a quick poll, but the options now are the knowledge is being consolidated.
I
Okay.
think everyone should be able to get this one right now.
I think we should have 100%. We should get 100% on this. So what accounts can you use to sign into Zoom? I'm showing you here on the screen. All of these, you can use all of these. I'm telling you, this is a consolidation, but okay, and I should make it clear. You can answer. You could select more than one option in this question. You see, that's my mistake for not telling you that. Okay, I'll end the poll, as I think somewhat counterproductive. The answer is all of these things. You can sign on to Zoom with your Facebook account, with your Google account, or with your Apple account if you have an Apple account. Again, I'm trying to show the accessibility of this feature. It's very possible to join this with low barriers for entry. Okay. Once you sign up, you will have to check your email for a code. Okay. I'm sharing all of this with you because this slideshow will be in a repository for you to access, so you can follow these steps yourself if and when you need them to make sure you are able to set up an account successfully. You'll have to verify your email. You'll get a code and your email address that you sign up with, whether that was through your Facebook or your Gmail or Apple. You'll then put that code into verify, and you can then create your account. Okay, those are some steps to get there. Once you're in your account, you can see a screenshot of my account here. There will be your profile. Within your profile, you can change your profile picture. You can edit your features. You can edit the language you use, your time zone, the date. So once you've created your account, you'll be able to go into your profile and personalize it effectively. Really, you need to be downloading the application, okay, on your computer or laptop, this is. Once you've downloaded the application, the interface, the way you can communicate with the app is much more straightforward than online. I've got a link to it here. So again, once you've got the slideshow, you can just follow this link and you'll be able to download Zoom, at which point you can sign up for free and create your account, personalize your settings, etc. And that's where you can schedule your own Zoom meeting. Okay, so here you can click meetings below profile and schedule a meeting. And then you'll have a screen like this that comes up. And once you've clicked schedule a meeting, you can put the details of that meeting in. You can name it, you can put the time, how long it'll be, where it'll be, attendees. You can start to invite people, okay? So here we have another example of this. This is on the app, okay? This is the downloaded web application or how a Zoom looks. You want to schedule a meeting on this? These are the options that come up to you. So here you've got the name, the date, attendees. You can invite people individually. Here you can share the link for people to join the meeting ID. You can add a passcode to make sure only people you want can join it. You can add a waiting room to make sure people aren't able to join immediately. And all of these features that you can play around with to make sure that your Zoom has the settings that you require. They'll come up when you try and schedule a meeting, okay? So to schedule a meeting, you need to make sure it has the settings useful for the session that you're planning. Here I go in a bit more detail again to show you the extent. And here we have on the bottom right, language interpretation, audio channels, personal meeting IDs, all of these features, okay? I think we have another question now, Amanda. Do you need a code to join a Zoom meeting? Give you a minute more to answer this one here. A lot of responses. Okay, thank you very much. So you do not need a code to join a Zoom meeting if there is no code required, if there's no passcode. However, you will need a meeting ID or an invitation link. Okay? So that's that question here. Zoom on your phone. I'm aware a lot of you will be using Zoom on your phone, okay? So the website application that I showed you previously will not be accessible for all of you, or also it's very useful to use it on your phone as well. You will have to download the Zoom application off your App Store, whether that's Google Play or your Apple App Store, depends on that. Some of the features for managing Zoom meetings will be unavailable on your phone, okay? So this mainly includes breakout rooms, launching polls as we're doing, and streaming the meetings. So I'm sure some of you are joining from your phones at the moment, but it's more advised to use a desktop when launching a meeting as you have more features accessible to you. However, it's still a very appropriate way of joining Zoom, okay? So that's the fundamentals of key features of key settings of Zoom and scheduling a meeting. I hope we're okay with all of that. We've got some growing pains going through these polls ourselves, but hopefully they're coming out all right. The main point of this is to keep you engaged, so you have something to say yourself. So now we're going to look at managing participants and using some key features. Very fundamental if you're going to be hosting a Zoom meeting yourselves. So participant management. Here you can decide how the participants in your Zoom meeting will be interacting with you. You click on participants, you can click on more. And here you have some features that enable you to keep the Zoom quiet, enable people to speak. This is how people renamed themselves, and renaming and enablement was on. And so this is your dashboard for keeping your participants in the order that you wanted them. Okay. So then there's host tools and screen share. This goes into it in a little bit more detail. Okay. So here we can allow participants to share their screen, which is what I'm doing now by showing this presentation, to chat, rename themselves, share documents, record to their computers. So all of these settings are available for you as the host of a session. Enables you to have control of the session and put it in the direction that you want to take it. So as mentioned, I'm screen sharing today. What that means is I click the button in the middle of your Zoom screen, which says screen share. And from there, I am able to share my screen with you. And currently right now, I'm sharing this screen with you, which is session 1. And I can decide to share the screen here. And then I can decide the format and layout of this also. And be sure to make sure if my session has a video on it, I can share the sound as well. Okay. Apps. Another feature Zoom is very useful for. You can download apps onto your Zoom account and then your meetings. So if you click the apps icon here, you can then look onto Discover All and find apps that will be perfect for the type of meeting that you're scheduling or hosting. Okay. Below, I've got an example of an application which is used for interactive games. You can also take photographs of people. It can be useful for managing customers. There's lots of different apps that you can look through and find one that would be very beneficial for the particular meeting that you are intending on hosting. So it's a very useful Zoom feature for particular niche topics or particular topics you'd like to cover. Okay. And recording and captions. We are currently recording this Zoom video to enable all of you to have access to it in the future. You can look back through this for the information, about the international community of practice more generally, and for links that I've been providing. So how you record, you click on more, you click on record. Once you've recorded, you can record to the computer or you can record to the cloud. You can also click on captions, okay? This enables people to have screen captions on the bottom of their screen in the language they choose. Very beneficial for accessibility features, and it enables a wider audience to participate in the Zoom meetings, okay? Polls and quizzes. As you've been aware, we've been running some polls and quizzes. The way you do that is, again, by clicking on the More option and creating your polls and quizzes. This needs to be done before your session occurs, as we did today. You can create your individual polls and questions, and when it's an appropriate time to launch them, you can then launch your polls and quizzes. Enables interactivity. It can help consolidate the information you're trying to share on the Zoom call, and is a very helpful feature. So here we have International COP question 1. You click launch that, and there you go. Whiteboards is another feature that Zoom has. Enables people to share their ideas on a big Zoom call. So people can write on the same whiteboard as their participants, and enabling interactivity, idea sharing online in a very dynamic and present way. Very useful for lots of circumstances also. And finally, we have a feature of breakout rooms. So breakout rooms are what we're going to be looking at now. You click on more again and breakout rooms. The way that works is you will then be you can assign people into groups automatically. So Zoom will do it for you, or you can manually click on people one by one to make sure they're in the correct rooms, okay? We will be doing a manual assignment today to make sure you're all in groups with people from your nationality, which is why at the beginning of the session, I asked you all to put your name in your initials of your nation in your name, so we could do this effectively, okay? So we'll now divide you into breakout rooms and rooms that fit your accessibility needs also, okay? So if you require Sagir's interpretation, you'll be in a breakout room with him. And if you are from your national college, you'll be with them. Okay. So what are we going to be discussing in our breakout rooms? So in our breakout rooms right now, we're going to be I've just explained to you some different Zoom features. Maybe before we go in this breakout room, I'll just run through them one more time quite briefly, and you can have a refreshment of them. And so the question you'll be discussing about was, how could you use these features to address challenges or opportunities in rural communities? Okay. So that's the question. I'll quickly run back through these features that I just shared with you now, and we can have a quick refreshment of what options there are available. Maybe some of you know some other features. This isn't every single feature Zoom has. These are some of the most important ones I thought worth sharing with you. So if you also know of some other Zoom features that could be useful, feel free to discuss them as well. But let's quickly run through the features that I shared, and then we can sort the breakout rooms. So we had participant management, okay, less of a feature. Hosting tools and screen share, okay, as mentioned. Sorry, we have applications. And there are various applications. You can look yourself quickly now in your Zoom. You can look in the Zoom application section yourself to see what is available to you if that could influence your discussion. Recording sessions and captions on sessions. Okay. We had polls and quizzes, which we're doing now, and the whiteboard, and breakout rooms. Okay, so this is a chance for you to get to know some of your international COP colleagues, as well as an opportunity to discuss the features of Zoom. So this is the first breakout room on the international session. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of your colleagues already. Yes, Hamza, you have a question, please go ahead. You can type it or say it.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. My
Good afternoon.
questions are, if I'm the host of the meeting and I don't want any one of the participants to speak or to respond without my permission, how can I mute all the participants?
That's a good
Thank
question. You should have the option in participants before the meeting starts. You can make a setting to do that already, so you can mute all participants. But if you are the host, you can also have a setting to mute participants when they join. As I am the host here, I can go through all the current participants on this call and mute and unmute them as I see fit. Okay. So that is a feature that you can set before the meeting starts and once the meeting is in progress as well. Okay. So I hope that answers that question. So that's in the host management section there. If once you've clicked on host management, you'll have a lot of features available to you to make sure participants are joining in a way that you wanted them to. Okay. So I hope that answers your question there, Hamza. So there I've got a brief explanation of some features of Zoom. As I mentioned, this is the first opportunity you'll be sharing your opinions with the international COP. So you'll be in your breakout rooms now. We'll give you 10 minutes, I think, in these breakout rooms. You'll then come back, and it would be lovely if there could be individuals from these breakout rooms that could share what their discussion was. This is the first opportunity, as I said, for the cross-cultural and border communication exchanges to occur. So it'd be nice if we could start with a, something engaging and people are participating actively. It would be really lovely. No pressure if you really don't want to. That's completely okay. You're not expected to. It's just be nice if you did. So with that, it would be great if Amanda if you could put those breakout rooms into action.
Yeah, apologies. I did have a breakout room set up, and for some reason, I'm not sure if somebody else, one of the co-hosts, has just created different breakout rooms, so I'm going to have to recreate them again. So it might be a good opportunity to take some questions and answers maybe of what we've done so far while I recreate them. And if possible, if people could possibly put their nationalities in the names, that really helps. And let me know if you need sign language interpreting as well.
Yeah, so this is a good time for some question and answers. If anybody has any questions about those features I've just tried to explain to them there, I'll be more than happy to take them. If not, it's an opportunity to reflect a little bit on how you think before you go into your breakout rooms, how you could think of examples these Zoom features could be useful in your contexts as CLTs, how you think the accessibility features of them, so regarding how easy it is to join, how many people can join, how long it lasts, etc. How these, and then the features we've discussed, how you can manage participants, how all of these things could be beneficial to you when carrying out your respective roles. I'm personally very interested to hear about how you yourselves would use these features. Thank you, Edwin. It's very kind of you. I hope it's informative. It's it's not the most interesting topic in the world. It's good to be aware of these things. They're very, very necessary technology. Moving forwards, it's only going to become more necessary as well. So it's good if you have a strong foundation to build from. Is it possible to hold practical classes using Zoom meeting? Brive, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by practical. I mean, my initial answer would be yes, I think it is if possible. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by practical classes, though. Unmute you, so of course I'll unmute you.
Sir, can I respond about this breakout?
Yes, please.
Okay. To my, I think that in agricultural experts, like can teach farmers and rural communities about modern farming techniques or disease management by showing them slides, videos, or live feeds through Zoom app.
Okay, that's a really interesting idea. So you would could you explain that in a bit more detail, sorry, please?
Okay. For example, agricultural experts can teach farmers in rural communities about modern farming techniques or disease management by showing slides, videos, or live feeds.
Definitely. So they could share they could show their slides, or they could even share their screen and share a video of a particular technique used to enable the education of farming techniques in rural communities. Yeah, it's a really good idea. Exactly. So this is the kind of discussion we were hoping you'd be having in the breakout rooms. But that's exactly the kind of stuff that we'd like to be thinking about. I'll just check with Amanda. How are we doing, Amanda? Or should we just open the floor to discussion, do you think? What do you think is the best bet here?
I think we'll be ready in just a second. I'm just adding the last people, and
Okay.
then I'll be able to open it now.
All right. So you should get a request to join a breakout room any second. You can join these rooms and have yourselves a discussion about the topic mentioned here. Okay, well, everybody, welcome back. I hope you had a good discussion there. I'm sorry for the difficulties leading up to it, but as I said, these things happen with technology. It's something you have to factor in often, that there won't always be a complete smooth operation when you're doing things virtually. Can I ask if anybody was able to join their breakout room using their phones? If that was possible for anybody, if they could put in the chat, just out of curiosity, it'd be useful to know. And then we can, yes, wonderful. That's great. So who is there anybody that would like to share something they were speaking about with their group? You're very helpful. Now, if someone would like to, they can put their hand up and I can unmute them and they would like to share. We've got a little question here. We've got a little quick fire question. Strong answers coming in here. We know our stuff. We know our stuff at this point. All right. I'll end that poll. And yes, of course, the answer is yes, you can use Zoom on your phone. You can join a meeting. You can schedule a meeting. You can join a breakout room, etc. It's important to be aware of those things. So now we'll have some discussion. So is there anybody that would like to share what their group was discussing? If they could raise their hand, and I will unmute you, and you can speak to the community. Hamza? Please.
Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
From our part, we discussed about agricultural issues our rural farmers face in Nigeria, especially here in Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria. Most of our rural farmers, they do not have modern education and tech education, where you can find a farmer plant a bag of rice, end up investing just 2 to 3 bags of rice, which is totally not good when it is compared to the developed countries like UK, America, and the other developed countries. So through that, they can be taught how to use technology to harvest multiple bags of rice more than the way they do on the old ways. And also to educate our farmers, especially because for this SIDP program, we went almost 3 to 5 rural areas where we trained them how to use computers. So we as CLTs, we started thinking that we have to change their minds, not only to use computers, but how to use technology to improve their business or their agricultural business, and also to teach them vocational training on how to, for example, now, if a farmer harvested rice, how to use that raw rice in different ways, not directly to take the road to the market and the businessmen or business women buy it, use it in different ways, then take it back to the rural or to the village to sell it to that actual farmer, the one that work on it days and nights. So we have to change their mindset when we go to the village or the rural communities. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hamza. It's very interesting. I agree. I think that's very valuable insight. So we've got Mumbo from Kenya has raised their hand. Please.
Thank you so much, Sam. So yes, this is Mumbo, one of the ELTs from Kenya. In our group, that is Team Kenya, we had a chance to, the time was short, but 3 ideas, sorry, my screen is just frozen again. 3 ideas came up. One is based on what we've been taken through today on the nitty-gritty of Zoom. The team felt, especially the team dealing with people with disabilities, the screen share option was a good option for them, especially for those people who might be having visual problem or ability to hear. So sometimes ability that the functionality of Zoom to allow screen share is quite a deal for them, especially when they'll be dealing with virtual trading. 2, there is another participant who shared about the I think screen captioning, ability to have caption based on the language that you best fit. I think that was a good feature according to what the team members were sharing. It's a good option for them for it to transcribe the speech to text. Then one of the team members, I think it might be obvious for most people, but it's not obvious for everyone, that we've joined meetings, especially in Zoom, but how many are able to set up that Zoom meeting? So ability to be, the CLTs to be able to be taken through setting up Zoom meeting is a valuable lesson that was picked by some of the members. So because of time, those are the only 3 key items that were discussed from the Team Kenya. Otherwise, back to you, Sam.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm very happy to hear that it's been beneficial. And yes, Zoom has lots of accessibility features which are very useful. As you can see, we have a live sign language interpreter. We have live interpretation into Indonesian. So, you know, these facilities are very useful in many different aspects. But thank you. There's a very interesting conversation I'm sure you had. Mas Nauli, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If you'd please share.
Selamat malam. Yeah, thank you. I want to share about breakout room.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used bahasa. Ya, di kelompok kami tadi 2 orang yang sharing, dua-duanya memang membahas mengenai.
Can I just, sorry, can I stop you for 1 second? And I have to now tell the members from Kenya and Nigeria, they must turn on their live language interpretation and click to English here. So they click more, they click the globe, interpretation, and then they click English. And that will enable everybody to have a live language interpretation from Bahasa Global to understand it in English.
Okay.
I'm sorry that we just need 1 second, but here you're seeing the possibilities of Zoom accessibility. So if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand. But the way you do it is you click the more option, interpretation, which has a symbol of the globe, and there you can click English. And then when Masnauli speaks, you will be able to have an interpreter translate it for you. I hope that's okay for everybody. And please go ahead, Masnauli.
Okay, thank you. Yang kami gunakan di Indonesia untuk Zoom itu udah familiar ya, udah biasa digunakan untuk mengajar. Tetapi yang kami alami sedikit menarik dibandingkan dengan tadi yang dijelaskan, bahwa di tempat kami itu kan kekuatan sinyalnya cukup lemah. Jadi untuk fitur share screen itu cukup berat juga digunakan. Selain itu juga kalau kita menggunakan aplikasi seperti yang tadi Samuel buat, kita pooling itu cukup berat ya digunakan. Jadi untuk di daerah kami memang lebih cocok dan lebih ringan jika menggunakan Google Meet. Begitu. Nah, di dalam penggunaan Zoom juga, ini fiturnya sebenarnya sangat bagus sekali, apalagi kami sebagai seorang pengajar, karena ada banyak fitur yang bisa menolong untuk kita ini ya mengajar dengan efektif seperti itu. Hanya memang tantangannya tadi di daerah kami selain internetnya juga banyak yang tidak memiliki laptop, jadi menggunakan handphone. Walaupun mudah digunakan menggunakan handphone, tetapi ada fitur yang tidak tersedia di handphone itu. Seperti itu. Nah, kira-kira itu diskusi kami. Terima kasih, saya kembalikan.
Thank you very much. It's an interesting discussion. It's a very necessary discussion, of course. I'm not here to tell you it is the perfect feature for every option you'll encounter. But as you mentioned, Google Meet can be an appropriate substitute. And I think that if Google Meet enables you to do it more effectively because of your bandwidth connection, for example, then of course you should be using Google Meet. I'm not here to, as I said, I don't work for Zoom, although it looks like it in my capacity. I'm here to explain the features of Zoom because we'll be using it primarily on this program here. But if there are features which you are aware of, Google Meet has superior capability, then by all means, of course, you should be able to host your meetings with a lower bandwidth. But thank you for sharing. It's interesting to be aware of the context for sure. Thank you very much. Has anybody else? I saw Breva had a hand up, but it's gone down now. And maybe it was a question, or maybe she wanted to share. I'll give you an opportunity, Breva, if you wanted to share. If not, then yes. Okay, please. I'll mute you, please.
Hi everyone. I am Brave from Kenya. My question, I wasn't able to join my colleagues in the breakout rooms for the discussion, but I had a question which I wanted to ask them. I'll pose the question here. I hope I'll be able to be answered. Does the Zoom app or Zoom, yeah, does it offer features like, those ones like you can see what whoever you've invited to the forum, you can see what they are doing on the other end, such that are you the controller? Do you have the full attention of the one you've invited to the meeting? Like in the case of those digital literacy gadgets that are being used in school, where one can control what the learner is doing on the other end.
Right, I see what you're saying. You're saying, can you have a master key, for example, to override other people's
Yes,
actions?
yes.
Well, yes, you can to an extent. I mean, for example, I can, as the host of this meeting, I can mute everybody. I can enable them to speak. I can allow them into the breakout room. I can allow them into the meeting. So all those features appear in the host tools section, and you can set them up before you schedule a meeting in the settings part. So you can, when you schedule a meeting, you can go on settings and you can look through all the different features that you would like to change, or how you can have them how you like them. But the short answer is yes, you can control what people do. Can you control what people see and text to each other, for example, in the chat? Not quite. There are some levels of direct messaging which you wouldn't have access to, for example. But on the whole, yes, you have control of the Zoom meeting. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I also have another small question.
Sure.
If you are to teach somebody or to train somebody on something, maybe you have a Zoom meeting with the person and you have to take that person step by step on how to do something, like the practical session I was meaning in the question that I posted here. Is it possible for you, that person might feel like this person is very far away. How can he or she guide me practically so that I can learn this thing? Is it possible, or does the Zoom offer that allowance for you to take that person step by step into learning? Maybe you want to show that person how to use the Microsoft Word. Can you take that person step by step, or does the Zoom allow you to do that?
Does Zoom allow me to show another software? Is that what you're asking? Is that the question you're asking?
And not really software, but can you join the other members whom you've invited into the meeting into doing something together? Like for the case of an online class where you are showing the learners or the students or whoever you have invited into the meeting how to use a certain
Yes,
application.
sorry. Sure, yes. As Irina stated, yes, you can share. Yeah, I can share my screen. I can share my screen with you right now and show you how I sign into Google, or how I step by step log on to my Zoom account, for example. Yes, I could have done this presentation as me logging onto my Zoom account and showing you the different ways in doing it. But the reason why I've recorded it is like in this respect, it's a slideshow you can go through, and people that haven't had access to this can look back on the features and have a bit more explanation and things like that. But yes, you can do that very much. Thank you, Irene, for clarifying. I hope that answers your question, but you can do that, yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, Sani, over to you. I think it's the last question we'll take because we've got to move on. We might be a little bit over, guys. I'm sorry to tell you, but because of our technical difficulties, we're a little behind schedule. If you have to leave, that's okay. but we might run a little bit over, just to let you know. Okay, Sani, please. I can unmute you there, Sani, and I can try and unmute you. Hello. So, Sani, are you communicating with sign language? And if so, that means Sagir, if you could please interpret for him, that would be useful. I'll unmute you.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Okay, sir. Sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be in this our midst. Please, my question is, please, can you share us records of this meeting, please? Because we have here I have poor connection and I have poor network. So it is very important. This meeting is very important. I need to see it again in the future so that I can, which I'm going to benefit. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sani, I can confirm 100% you will have access to the recording of this video. Your national cohorts will tell you how you have access to it, but this is being recorded and you will definitely be able to view this in the future. Okay, no problem. Great. Okay, we've got Hamza raised his hand. I think we've got sorry, unless Sani was still speaking, I'm not sure if he was. No, I think we're okay.
All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good day, everyone. Well, I just want to call your attention that I have joined the accessibility group where we actually discuss vividly, and we actually discuss two different things, especially I am a person with visual impairment. I'm using screen reader. Zoom application is actually accessible for screen reader users, but does using smartphones. But about laptop, some screen readers may find it difficult to actually read out what is in the application, and may find it difficult to navigate actually. So we need to take note of this. Let's make it so accessible. Accessible in the sense that, like now, I was trying to look for the emoji to raise hand, but it appears that it's hides somewhere else. So let us bring out the necessary voters first. Then you open a room for any other advanced alternative. For example, like mic, video, audio, and emoji. Let's make it accessible, visible, and the one that you can easily click on and speak, or click on to raise your hand and what have you. But it's like we may find it difficult to go deep and look for any other alternative, as well as chat box. Let's display a chat box, maybe like a keyboard. You can click on it, then the keyboard appear, so that you'll be able to type whatever you want to type, so accessible like that. I don't know whether you got the point.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing. That's very interesting, and that is definitely something we'll keep in mind for the future. Um, as I've said, this is the first session, so we are still figuring out the best approach here. But we thought we had a reasonable approach sorted, but this is very interesting information, very useful information. And I'm sorry it's been challenging to find certain icons, but we'll definitely work on that and improve or make note to make sure that these features are cleared up in the future. So thank you. Is that okay?
I think also for future sessions, for anyone who does have visual impairments, we can they can kind of engage in the conversation through just unmuting their microphone and don't have to use hands up
Definitely.
in the same way.
I completely agree. I think that the hands up feature is useful for certain things, but it's not the we don't have to abide by unuseful rules. There's no need to be rigid with how we approach it. If it's difficult for you to do that, then of course, by all means, you really don't have to. Okay, so guys, we're running quite behind schedule here. It's good though. We've had some good discussions. There is several more features of this presentation that had planned on sharing with you. What we'll do is I think we're going to skip a lot of the polls and quizzes that we had in mind to try and cut on some time. So we're going to look a little bit now about some troubleshoot, some questions. Someone was asking in the chat earlier. So ask yourself if you remember a video or Zoom that went particularly badly. I'm sure none are coming to mind. But what features did they use? How was it presented? Were their objectives clear? And was the timing correct? So ask yourself how many of these bullet points I personally have ticked off during this Zoom session. And maybe you'll understand that you shouldn't follow my example. Again, I apologize for this. I hope it has been still informative and useful. There are boring Zoom sessions. There are unengaging Zoom sessions. It's very important to keep them engaging if you're trying to get the message across. Otherwise, people zone out and will stop participating. Okay. Again, I know today's content has been very practical. It hasn't been the most juicy material, but it's very important to keep your content interesting if you want your Zoom delivery to be successful. What are your objectives? I hope I outlined my objectives clearly at the beginning of the session. Is there a clear structure? I think I showed what we were going to achieve in terms of the subcategories of the presentation, and I'm fulfilling those. Visual appeal, my photographs could be better, but I think they're somewhat informative and allow you to look at something. And interactive elements. I've hoped to incorporate lots of these throughout the process of this presentation to keep you engaged, keep you able to share your ideas, and enable a successful delivery. So maybe you can be the judge of this yourselves, but I hope to be passionate when I present and enthusiastic. My pacing, again, could be better, I suppose, but it's very important. Body language and eye contact. These are some features to bear in mind when you're looking to host a Zoom session yourself. Very important to keep your participants engaged. Use the key features. We've just discussed them. We don't need to look at this for a very long time. Features can be very helpful in keeping your participants engaged, making sure it's good content. And some audio-visual tools. So here someone was asking about their microphone. If you click on the audio section of your bottom screen of your Zoom, you can look at test speaker microphone. You can make sure your speaker and microphone are working in this part of the Zoom meeting. And the same with the video here, you can choose to blur your background, make sure your camera is working, etc. Okay, as I said, you'll have access to this recording, everybody, so you can look at these again for future reference. But this is how you can make sure your everything's working as it should be. So you can check your status if your microphone is muted. You can make sure you've got the right audio devices in the settings, lower your volume, get rid of background noise. Okay, those are the troubleshooting steps for audio. For video, you can make sure your camera is on, make sure you've had the correct camera selected. If the bandwidth is low, close unnecessary applications to make sure your internet connection is more stable. So close the YouTube video you're watching or the whatever Facebook, whatever you had open, and make sure you have adequate lighting. So these are some common problems with audio and visuals. Again, here's some more technical things for screen sharing. Make sure you select the right window, optimize the video, and enable to share audio. That's very important. It's an issue which could happen a lot if you're trying to share a video and the audio isn't selected to be shared. You will be stuck without that facility, even though you want it. Internet connectivity, here we go. Make sure your internet is connected properly, and enable all the antivirus software as possible, update the application, close unnecessary programs, as mentioned, close Facebook, close YouTube, and use a headset. So these are some steps for improving connectivity also, okay? Those are some troubleshooting steps about Zoom and how to keep it an engaging content. You can choose to follow me as an example or not. I'm sure you all have your own styles, but this is just to give you a debrief. AI and Zoom. So how is AI influencing Zoom practice? This is following on from some topics we'll be looking at further on in the program. How is AI influencing Zoom? Well, quite a lot. I was going to ask you a question of how you think AI could enhance the use of Zoom, but I think we'll try and keep it as short as possible now. And we'll go straight on to showing you how they could enhance the use of Zoom. Maybe you have some ideas already in your mind about how you think AI could influence it, but this is how AI is going to be influencing Zoom, okay? They're introducing a new companion 2.0. What this will do is it will transcribe meetings in real time in different languages. It can summarize the conversation of the Zoom meeting and enable someone to catch up on what they've missed without interrupting the meeting. So someone that joined late for this meeting, for example, could click that button, and what had been happened before in the Zoom meeting could be quickly summarized in a short writing to get people up to speed. Very incredible feature. It can record with smart features, can highlight, summarize things, provide analytics whilst you're having the meeting, and it can share summaries post-meeting as well. Okay, these are some features that AI is going to be changing in Zoom. It's very fast-moving technology, and these things will change, I'm sure, in the next few years. But we're going to be looking specifically at AI further on in this course. So this is just to whet your appetite, as it was, about some of the things we'll be looking at. Some challenges associated with AI. There are potential risks of data breaches with AI. It's not completely secure yet. It's an evolving technology. So you say 97% of organizations have encountered breaches or security issues related to the use of generative AI in the past year. So it is somewhat problematic in that respect. This follows on to our data protection regulation chapter. So Zoom itself does have some issues associated with data protection. Here you can see that I don't work for Zoom and I'm a bit more nuanced maybe. We're looking a little bit at how there is no evidence of end-to-end encryption on Zoom, which does provide some security breach possibilities worth being aware of. Here is Zoom's data protection policy. You can look at it yourself. We'll be using Zoom, and I encourage you to have a quick scan of this. It'll be in your language if you desire. It explains what data they get from you, how they use it, and how they share it. It's important to be aware of these three things generally with all of your data in the world, but there's Zoom's one is specifically there. And these are the particular data protection laws of the nations that are involved in this program. I'm not sure how familiar you yourselves are, but it could be a very interesting thing to read up on, especially before our session on data protection rights, to understand where your country sits and what your civil liberties are in this respect. General tips for cross-cultural Zoom etiquette. You're all clearly very accomplished in this respect, so it's not particularly necessary for me to tell you all this, but these are just some general tips I thought I'd add in. Be mindful of your communication, be punctual, be prepared, be patient, and use appropriate visual cues. These are all somewhat obvious, or rather people are aware of these things, but I thought I'd add it in anyway. So this is the last section of the session now. I'm sorry I rushed the last little bit. As I mentioned, we had some technical difficulties. So this is the section where I'm going to explain the next steps following on from this session. So the objective now is to give you somewhat of a task or a learning opportunity to do in your own communities. So here the task is you are being asked to confidently deliver a short informative workshop on Zoom and video conferencing etiquette to members of your local communities, okay? This can be done on your own or in a group if you are either live near people that do this, or if you are prepared to do it online with people you can connect with online and do it online, that's also very much encouraged, okay? So there's some things to consider here. who's your target audience for this Zoom call? What are the objectives? What are you trying to get your participants to know? Types of features, what knowledge will they gain? You have to have a plan for your session. How long is it going to be? What do you want them to achieve from it? What are the outcomes? And what materials will you be providing? Will you be providing a presentation yourself? Will you be screen sharing, you setting up a Zoom session on your own laptop or your phone? Or will you be giving a paper handout? Okay. Make sure you leave time for Q&A. Okay. Once you've completed this session, you will be expected to fill out this form. This is the form, but it's not in a good format. This will be shared with you in the coming days, okay? So you'll have access to this slideshow, which will explain to you in more detail the learning opportunity, and you'll have access to this, which can explain to you how you should be detailing it. So it's important to make a note of what you're doing during this session and recording it down. Here you can see there's some statistics like number of participants, how long it was, and any issues you faced. I could benefit from doing this myself, I'm sure. And the qualitative reflection around how you planned, how was it, how effective was it, what features did you use, etc. So these are some ways in which it would be useful to note these down. Because when we have our peer learning session, it will be these self-evaluation forms which are used as prompts to encourage discussion amongst these national cohorts. So it's based on this assessment and the coming assessments that we'll really be able to understand best practice and issues amongst the different nations, okay? So this is the opportunity where you get to showcase your work. This is the opportunity where you get to internationally explain how you do it in your community. You try and benefit other national communities in doing so, and you get to show off what your abilities are also, and hopefully build a network at the same time, okay? So you'll have already reflected on your own session once you filled out that form, and then that will be used to enable future discussions. The discussions will take place as they did today through either live interpreters or people that are able to speak in English directly. Unfortunately, more than one translator chain is not particularly beneficial for a Zoom call. So it will have to be through live translators, which we have prepared for, definitely. As I said, I encourage you here to go in a group work. It's not essential, but it would be beneficial for you to get to know people in your cohort, to keep you engaged and have understanding and be able to lean on each other for support at certain times during this program, so that you can make sure you are able to work with each other sufficiently. Okay, so we hope this will benefit you. We really hope this will benefit you. We hope this information today we've given you on Zoom will benefit your lives dramatically. Dramatically is a bit much, maybe, your lives, and that also you'll be able to educate on this topic appropriately now as well, as the work you're doing is very valuable and worthwhile. So I'm available for support if you have any questions, of course. Feel free to reach out. My email is on this slideshow. You'll receive this recording and the slideshow as well, so you have access to all of that. There's just a couple of questions I would like to ask you now on the polls, which would be helpful for me in the future to know how I did on my delivery. So there are two questions I would like you to answer, which are open-ended. If you could spend a minute to answer these questions, that'd be very useful. If Amanda, you could pull those questions up. It's the last two questions, I believe, in the thing. It would be helpful for me to see how you enjoyed this session. But you can be, it's anonymous as well, so you can be completely honest here. I won't be I won't be offended. Thank you for taking your time to that. And as I said, I'm very sorry for running over the time here. But if you have time, I have time. I'm free to answer more questions you have as long as you need right now. So if you want to stay on the call and ask some questions, then you feel free to do so. And this is a bit of a question here, which would be lovely if you could write a short answer. If you're on your phone and it doesn't seem that easy, then that's okay as well. Thank you for answering, everybody. And so, yeah, while people are answering, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. And if you've answered that question, thank you very much. And I'm sorry again for going over, but these things happen sometimes. I hope it was beneficial for you. I hope you've learned some skills here and how you can maybe approach delivering your own sessions in the future. I'll say it again, this recording is available. The slideshow will be available to you as well. So you have access to all of these resources. So you don't need to worry about if you've missed anything or a link or you didn't quite get what it was. So don't worry about that. I just hope you had a good session. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you for joining very much. Thank you very much for the work you do. Really interesting and worthwhile work. I'm very, very happy and honored to be a part of this program, actually. I'm very proud to be a part of this. So it's lovely to be here with all of you, kicking it off on the international scale. So thank you very much. And yeah, feel free to leave when you see fit.